Shalom, my friends. So in this video, we're going to be talking about what does Yah consider to be a good woman, and what does Yah consider to be a unholy woman. Because in today's time, we don't have a lot of information for our black women, for women in general, on how the Most High wants His women to be acting. All right. So I'm going to let the Ruach Hakodesh work through me, and we're going to give great understanding to what the woman's position is and how she should be a good woman and all that stuff. But first we have to start, what is the purpose of the woman? What is her position? So we're going to start in 1 Timothy chapter 11. It says, "Let a woman learn in silence, in all subjection. But I do not permit a woman to teach or to have authority over a man. Rather, to be in silence. Because Adam was formed first, then Eve. And Adam was not deceived. But the woman, having been deceived, fell into transgression. But she shall be saved in childbearing if they continue in belief and love and kadesh in holiness, with sensibilityness, with sensibleness. So right here, Yah is letting us know what the position of the woman is, because remember, back in Genesis, the woman, she was deceived by the serpent, and the Most High said, "I'll put an enmity between your seed, between the seed of the serpent and thy seed, and he would multiply the hardships of a woman." And at that point, that's when women became subjection to men. So right here, the Most High is letting us know that our women need to be learning in silence, and he lets us know that he has not permitted a woman to teach or to have authority over a man. And right off the bat, women might be saying, "Well, I don't like this, and all this," but these are the commandments of Yah. So if you're trying to walk in the ways of Yah, this is what women have to do. And this is not my word. This is the word of Yah. I'm just speaking through it. I'm just speaking the words of Yah. So let's continue. So I want to back it up to verse 9, and we're going to learn how a woman should dress so that she could even start being heard, to be heard by Yah. It says, "Women dress themselves becomely, with decency and sensibleness, not with braided hair, or gold, or pearls, or costly garments, but with good works, which is becoming for women undertaking worship of Elohim." So Yah is saying, if you want to come to me and start worshiping me, he said you can't be out here all decked up with all these fine jewelries, trying to get men by your looks. You need to be trying to get men by your good works. You need to be trying to get men by your good works. That is what Yah wants for you. And he says, which is becoming for a woman undertaking worship of Elohim. So meaning, if you want to worship Elohim the correct way, you have to start there. You have to start by cleansing your appearance. And you have to start like that. You have to get rid of all the pounds of makeup. I see tons of tutorials where women are putting on so many layers of makeup and eyeliner, and they have all this jewelry on. And the Most High says, no, don't do that. He wants you to be cleansed. He wants your natural beauty to show. He wants your natural beauty to show. And he wants you to try to get a man by your good works, by your belief in the Most High, by showing that you're a good woman. And we're going to continue on, and we're going to learn what in detail Yah considers to be a good woman. So now we're going to take it over to 1 Corinthians. So right here in 1 Corinthians chapter 11, it starts off by saying, "Become imitators of me, as I also am of Messiah. And I praise you, brothers, that you remember me in every way, and keep the traditions as I delivered them to you. And I want you to know that the head of every man is Messiah, and the head of women is the man, and the head of Messiah is Elohim, is Yah. Every man praying or Naba, having his head covered, brings shame to his head, and every woman praying or Naba with her head uncovered brings shame to her head. So right here in 1 Corinthians, it's being made clear to us that the head of the man is the Messiah and the head of the woman is the man. So Yah definitely has it intentional that the man be the guiders for women, and women are supposed to be subservient to their husbands, to the man. And he's letting us know that women have to have their heads covered, have their heads wrapped up, and we'll continue reading on why that is. And every woman praying or Naba with her head uncovered brings shame to her head. So the Most High is saying, if you're a woman and your head's not covered, he's saying that's bringing shame to you, because your beauty is only supposed to be for your husband. You're not supposed to be walking around trying to be seen, trying to be impressing other people, trying to be impressing other men, making other men look at you for your beauty. Once you're married, once you have a boyfriend that you consider yourself to be getting married to, and once you're doing that, you need to turn off that switch that says, I am on the market for attraction. And it should never be on. Remember, we already read, if you're trying to follow the ways of the Most High, you need to not have braids, dressing yourself in gold and costly array, but to be in simplicity, and which is necessary in worshiping Elohim. And he's saying it's also very necessary for women to cover up their heads. So women need to start investing in head wraps, because these are the commandments of the Most High. And it says and I'll read this again. And every woman praying or Naba with her head uncovered brings shame to her head, for that is one and the same as if her head were shaved. For if a woman is not covered, let her also be shorn. But if it is shame for a woman to be shorn or shaved, let her be covered. So the Most High keeps pressing upon that you need to be covered, not wearing skin-tight dresses, not wearing high heels, not wearing pounds of makeup on and all that. He's saying you have to be covered and dress humbly. Get men through your good works, and that's how you'll get the respect of man today. Because a lot of women are in confusion why a lot of men don't respect them anymore, why they keep getting into a relationship where the man just wants them for their big booty, big tits, for their looks, for what they could do for them, and then they hit it and quit it type of speak. Well, if women weren't dressing in that fashion, wearing skin tight dresses, tights, that stuff, but we're dressing modestly, and we're showing them and showing men in the world that, hey, I am a woman of class, and I won't be looked at that way. I'm not a whore. They're going to respect me because I am a good person. I follow the commandments of Yah, and I am a good woman. And then women wouldn't have these problems, especially if you commit to not having sex before marriage. Because in today's time, if you try to play that card on men, you will quickly find out who is willing to commit to love and who is just there for you because you look good, instead of trying to have a commitment where you can see yourself having kids with this man, where you can see yourself worshiping the Most High with this person. Because the scriptures do tell you to give yourself to a man of understanding the word of Yah. Okay, because if you're setting yourself up with a man who doesn't understand the word of Yah, of course he will cheat on you. Of course he will step out on you and play you and just be there for your looks. And then once the looks start to fade away, or once another beautiful woman comes along, he will leave you for her, or he will try to have both of you at the same time and lying to both of you, or sometimes it's even worse where the other lady knows about you and she doesn't care. She's not holding herself with high respect, and she's ended up being the sideline girl, or you start to become the sideline girl. And obviously, you don't want that for yourselves. And so let's continue on. It says, in verse 7, for a man indeed should not cover his head, since he is the likeness of the esteem of Elohim. But women is the esteem of man. So right there letting us know again that women are the esteem of man. So that's why women have to be covered, because once you have yourself a man, a husband, a fiance, a boyfriend that you know you are going to marry, you don't need to be dressing in a way that's going to be eye-appealing to other men to want to come to try to seduce you, so that you wouldn't keep the commandments of Yah, so that you would end up stepping out on your beloved one. And it says, for man is not from women, but women from man. Talking about when the Most High took out the rib of Adam and formed Eve with that rib. So that's what he's talking about, how man is not from a woman. It says, for man also was not created for women. Listen to that. It says, for man also was not created for the woman, but woman for the man. Remember that. Women were created for the man, because remember, the Most High in the garden saw that Adam was alone, so he put him in a deep sleep and took out the rib and made a woman for him to keep him company and multiply on the earth. So we have to remember that. It says, because of this, women ought to have authority over her head because of the messengers. So it's talking about, because it's talking about the origin of why women have to keep their heads wrapped up, their hair wrapped up, is because when the fallen angels came down in the days of Jared, in the time before the flood, they saw the beauty of women and they lusted after them, and they fornicated with them. And remember, they created the giants and the Nephilim and the beings that we know today as being aliens, extraterrestrials. So because of that, Yah made the commandment for women to cover themselves up, so that they could not be seen for their beauty. That's only for the eyes of your husband. That's only for the eyes of the man you're going to marry. Your beauty, your nakedness. And it says, however, man is not independent of the woman, nor woman independent of the man in Adam. For as the woman was from the man, even so the man also is through the woman. But all of our Elohim, meaning both the man and the woman, are for each other. They have to coexist. They still need each other. Even though women was made for man and man not for woman, he's saying they still need each other, because it takes a man and a woman to make children, to procreate. And because Adam was lonely, Yah made him a woman so that he can love and make children with. So both still need each other. But women have to understand, if you want to follow and serve Yah the right way, you have to let your man be a man. Because a lot of women today always love to say this line of, oh, you need to be a man, and you need to act like a man, you need to provide for the house, you need to go out there and get a job. But what about a woman being a woman? If a man said to a woman, you need to be a woman, and of course, all hell would break loose from that line. It has to work both ways. A man has to be the man, like women want a man to be a man, and women have to be the woman that a man wants. You have to be the woman also that the Most High is calling you to be. And if you give yourself to a man of understanding, it would be very easy to be the good woman Yah wants you to be to that man, because that man has the same understanding and is going to follow the commandments of Yah on what it means to be a good husband to his wife. So it will be a-okay. So you won't have to worry about your husband having a good job. You won't have to worry about him taking care of your kid. You won't have to worry about him stepping out on you if you give yourself to a man of understanding. So it has to work both ways. A man has to be a man and a woman has to be a woman. And we're going to get into more detail about that too, in some more verses and some more chapters of the Bible too. It says, for as the woman was from the man, even so the man also is through the woman, but all of Elohim. It says, judge for yourselves. Is it proper for a woman to pray to Elohim with her head uncovered? So the Most High is saying, is it proper for a woman for a woman to pray to the Most High with her head uncovered? He's saying, after reading all this, is it proper? And of course it is not proper, because the Most High is barely hearing you, and probably not hearing you much at all if you're a woman praying with your head uncovered. Because the Most High is saying that you need to be dressed modestly, you need to cover up your hair, you need to stop trying to attract men with your looks, attract men with your mind, attract men with your good works, attract men with your spirituality, attract men with your faith in Yah. Man, if I found a woman today that was keeping the commandments of Yah, that'd be good enough for me. That'd be good enough for me. That'd be good enough for me. But not many women today are keeping the commandments of Yah, because we have in today's time the whole feminist movement, the women's march movement, and all these are considered blasphemies to the Most High Yah. And that also is going to be fulfilling the scriptures talking about how not many people will be saved. That's men and women. Not many women will be saved, not many men will be saved, because everybody's working against the Most High Yah. So if you're out there supporting the women's march, the feminist march, you need to stop that. You need to be on the completely opposite side, talking about what about my husband? You need to be talking about that. You need to be promoting the women getting back to the ways of Yah, the women supporting her man, the women being the backbone, the stronghold for her man, being a strong tower for her man to keep the man going, because that's what a woman needs to be. And I'll read some scriptures about that. It says, and it says in verse 14, does not nature itself teach you that if a man indeed has long hair, it is a disrespect to him? So here we also learn that men need to have short hair or be bald. It's because it's disrespect for a man to be having long hair down to his shoulders. That's not the right way for men to be dressing and to be going out into the world. And it says, and if a woman has long hair, it is esteemed to her. So the Most High is saying long hair is the beauty of women. Women need to have that long hair. And it says, because the long hair has been given to her over against a veil, meaning you need to have your hair covered up. That's why you see Muslim women all covered up. I know today's time a lot of women see that and be like, wow, those women are all covered up. But those women are keeping the commandments more than our women today, because they're subservient to their husbands. They're doing whatever their husbands want, and they're definitely covered up. They're not attracting men with their beauty. They're attracting men with their good works and all that. So let's also continue, and now I'm going to go to Ephesians. We got a lot of information. And so far, I hope you're still watching this. I hope you haven't turned this video off and say, no, I don't like this, because if you want to follow the commandments of the Most High Yah, if you want to get into the kingdom, if you want to get into the kingdom of heaven, this is what women have to do. This is what is necessary for women to get there. And this is what Yah considers to be a good woman. So now let's go on to Ephesians chapter 5. So right here in Ephesians chapter 5, we're going to start at verse 20. It says, give thanks always for all to Yah the Father in the name of our Adam, Yahushua HaMashiach, subjecting yourselves to each other in reverence of Elohim. It says, wives, subject yourselves to your own husband as to the Adam, because the husband is the head of the wife, and as also Hamashiach is the head of the assembly, and he is Savior of the body. So again, Yah is clearing up. He's saying the husband is the head of the wife. You need to listen to your husband. And I'll say it again. Women today have problem listening to their husband, because they tend to get married to men who don't follow the commandments of Yah, and they tend to marry themselves to men who are foolish, who are stupid. You know, a lot of wives saying, "Oh, my husband's stupid, so I have to be the man of the house and the woman of the house." Well, Yah did not intend that for the woman, because that is part of your own fault. That is your own fault for giving yourself to a man because maybe he looks good, maybe he looks really good, maybe it's because he has a lot of money, he's famous, whatever it may be. You have to be making sure you're giving yourselves to the right man, a man of understanding. That is the only way that you would be comfortable giving yourself, giving all of yourself, and subjecting yourself to your husband. Only if he is a man of Yah, a man of the Most High. That is the only way you would be comfortable. Outside of that, that's why you have all these marriage problems today. And I'll read a scripture about that, but that's why you have all these marriage problems today with the husband taking a back seat and letting the woman run everything, and the man and the woman saying, "Oh, I have to be the man and I have to be the husband, I have to be the wife for all this stuff." Because you have to make sure you're setting yourself up with a man of understanding. You have to make sure you're giving yourself to a righteous man. I'll keep saying that over because that's the only way these scriptures can be fulfilled. If you are doing the right things, and men watching this too have to do the same. You have to give yourself to a woman who wants to keep the commandments of Yah. That's the only way a man's going to be happy. And the same thing, that's the only way a woman's going to be happy. And I know for a fact, if Yah could strike me dead right now if I'm wrong, but if you give yourself, if both of you, if a man and a woman gives themselves to a woman of understanding, and if a woman gives herself to a man of understanding, Yah will bless you, and Yah will bless your life, your marriage, your kids. Okay? Yah be witness, because that is the truth. That is His word. That is His word. It says that through the word. You have to give yourself to a man and a woman of understanding. So let's continue on. It says, "Wives, subject yourselves to your own husbands as the Adam, because the husband is the head of the wife, as also Hamashiach is head of the assembly, and he is Savior of the body. But as the assembly is subject to Hamashiach, so also let the wives be to their own husband in every respect." So in Ephesians, in Ephesians we're learning that wives have to subject themselves to their husbands, just like Hamashiach gave himself over to the assembly, meaning to the disciples, to the synagogues, how he worshipped and how he continually was trying to speak the word, and how he was continually teaching, and how he dedicated his whole life to bringing the word of his Father, the Most High Yah. Women have to be like that towards their husband, have to be dedicating themselves fully to their husbands. All right, so that's what Yah is trying to convey in this message. He's saying just like the Messiah loved his people and the synagogue with all of his heart, women need to do the same to their husbands. Love them with all their might, and be that strong tower for them, and be that shoulder, that a man can come to. And it says, and I'll read that again. It says, "But as the assembly," talking about the synagogues and the churches, it says, "But as the assembly is subject to Messiah, so also let the wives be to their own husband in every respect." In every respect. And this is for the husbands too. It says right here, "Husbands, love your wives, as Messiah also loved the assembly and gave himself for it." So this is talking about, this is talking about how you need to give yourself to a good man. And this is also how a man has to be towards a woman of understanding. So if you find a man of Yah, he will have no problem fulfilling these words. It says, "Husbands, love your wives, as Messiah also loved the assembly and gave himself for it, in order to kadesh it and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word." So he's saying, love your wife just like Hamashiach loved the assembly in order to be blessed and in order to be cleansed in the washing of the water by the word. So the washing is the word. So if you give yourself, if a husband gives himself to a woman of understanding and loves his wife, just like Hamashiach loved the assembly, that relationship will be blessed. It will be cleansed by the word of Yah. Okay? Because remember, if both of you are fearing Yah, and if both of you are keeping the commandments of Yah, you will do right by each other. You won't have to worry about each one of you being caught off guard by Satan sending maybe a rich man or a good-looking man to try to seduce you, to sway you away from your husband. You won't have to worry about Satan coming in the form of uh, a beautiful woman half-dressed, trying to seduce your husband, because both of you will be fearing Yah and both of you will be keeping the commandments of Yah. So both of you will be like, no, I'm not doing that because I know the consequences that will come. Okay? So that is what is trying to be said here. And it says, I'll read that again. It says, but as the assembly is subject to Messiah, so also let the wives be to their own husband in every respect. And we'll clarify that every respect in another chapter. It says, husbands, love your wives as Mashiach also loved the assembly and gave himself for it in order to kadesh it and cleanse it with the washing of the water by the word, in order to present it to himself a splendid assembly, not having spot or wrinkle or any of this sort, but that it might be kadesh and blameless. Listen to that. So he's saying, follow these commandments in order that you be blessed, in order that your relationship be splendid, in order that it be without spot, wrinkle, or blemish in any sort, so that you might be blessed and blameless. That is powerful. In this way, husbands ought to love their own wives as their own bodies, because a man loves his body, and we like to hit the gym. We like to take care of ourselves, and we don't want anything bad to happen to our bodies. We take care of ourselves and all that. So he's saying you need to love your wife just like you love yourself, and husband and wives need to love themselves like they love their husband. They need to love their husbands like they love themselves. Okay. So it says, in this way, husbands ought to love their own wives as their own bodies. So just like you love your body, you need to love your wife. He who loves his wife loves himself. For no one ever hated his own flesh, but feeds and cherishes it. And also the Adam does the assembly. So he's saying, like, no one's ever hated their own flesh, but they feed it, they cherish it, they take care of themselves, just like the Messiah does the assembly, just like how he taught the disciples, just like how he came into the churches to teach the word and proclaim the word of his Father Yah. He's saying just like how he loved them, that's what husbands, that's what I need to do when I eventually get married to my wife. And I will definitely do that. I won't have no problem doing that. And let's continue on in verse 30. It says, because we are members of his body, of his flesh, and his bones, talking about we are members of the Messiah. For this cause a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. The secret is great, but I speak concerning Messiah and the assembly. However, you too, everyone, let each one love his own wife as himself, and let the wife see that she reveres her husband. Meaning, so right here, this is why in today's time a man and a woman needs to get married and get out of their parents' house, because you can't be married. You can't be a husband and wife married still living in your parents' house. You need to have your own place to go so you guys can make love, produce children, be comfortable, so you can be following the commandments of Yah. And it says, wives, see that she reveres her husband, meaning respects her husband, meaning fears. And it also could be translated as fears her husband, respects her husband, fears her husband, worship her husband. That's what you're supposed to do, because that is the ways of Yah. And you and a woman would only want to do that if she gave herself to a man of understanding, if she had that really good man. Because I see a lot in like TV shows like maybe Jerry Springer, Maury, how women say, "Oh, I do this and this for my husband. I do this and this for my boyfriend, and I love him unconditionally, but he doesn't love me back," and all that. Women naturally want to do this already for a man. They naturally want to give everything they have to the right man. But the problem comes when you set yourself up with a man who cheats, who has a history of cheating on women, who has a history of having multiple wives. Maybe he was married already, and you stole him away from his wife, and then you guys got married, and you find out he's cheating on you. It's the same thing. You need to give yourself to a clean man, a man of understanding, a man who has a heart after Yah, and who does the desires of Yah. So you have to give yourself. You can't be saying, "Oh, I do this and this for my husband, my boyfriend, my fiance. I love him so much, but yet he goes out and cheats on me." It is because you have set yourself up with a man who does not fear Elohim, who does not fear Yah, who does not care about that stuff. And the same thing for a man. I hear about men who say how they love this girl so much and they would do anything for her, but yet she's out late at night, she's out hanging out with her friends, she's out with other guys. I don't know what's going on. She doesn't text back, she doesn't answer her phone, because the same thing goes for us men. Um, that man gave himself to a woman without understanding. Maybe he was attracted to her, and most likely he was attracted to her because of her looks, because she had big butt, big tits, nice juicy lips, all that stuff. But she did not have a heart seeking the ways of Elohim. And so you have to understand that is why you get in these relationship problems, because once you throw out Yah, and once you stop looking and reading the Word of Yah, reading the Bible, trying to understand how to get into the kingdom, all things go out the window. All the goodness goes out the window. So that's why you have relationship problems. That's why we have all these problems in the world with war and all this crazy stuff. All right? So we have to give ourselves to a woman of understanding. We have to give ourselves to a man of understanding. All right? So let's continue on, and we're going to go into the book of Titus, chapter 2. We got a lot of information. We got a lot of information to cover. So right here in the book of Titus, chapter 2, it starts off by saying, in chapter 2, verse 2, "The older men are to be sober, serious, sensible, sound in belief, in love, in endurance. The older women likewise are to be holy in behavior." So that means not going around twerking. That means not trying to be out in the club getting drunk and all that. He's saying to be holy in behavior. Not slanderers, not giving to too much wine, right there, not giving to too much wine. Teachers of what is good. And it says, in order for them to train, listen to this, in order for them to train the young women to love their husbands, to love their children, to be sensible, blameless, workers at home, good, subject to their own husbands, in order that the word of Yah is not evil spoken of. Listen to that. So right here, he's telling the older men that we have to be sober, serious, sensible, sound in belief, in love and endurance. We have to be a strong rock, just like the Messiah is our rock that we build our house upon. And he sends older women. So this is for moms. This is for moms watching this. This is for moms watching this. This is for grandmas watching this. It says the older women likewise are to be kadesh in behavior, meaning holy behavior. If you're a mom, you can't be out there going to the clubs. You can't be out there shaking your ass. You can't be out there trying to be a teenager anymore, because that is behind you. Once you become a mom, it is time to be a mom. It is time to be an example for your son, especially for your daughter, which we're about to cover here, which we just read. It says, be holy in behavior, be kadesh in behavior, not slanderers, not given to too much wine. There are too many moms out here with children still trying to hit the club, staying out in the bar, trying to find a man to catch and all this stuff. It says teachers of what is good. And how are you going to be a teacher of what is good if you're out there in the club, if you're out there trying to get your weave done, if you're out there dressing in tight clothing, wearing all this jewelry, tons of makeup on your face, trying to catch men with your own appearance. And plus, you wouldn't be in that position where you have a baby's daddy instead of having a husband, instead of having a husband. Because if you had given yourself to a man of understanding, you wouldn't be in a baby daddy predicament. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? You wouldn't be in a baby daddy predicament where the father lives there and you live here and you're in a broken household. If you gave yourself to a man of understanding, you would have a man who wants to be in the house with you, raising your children with you together, who's going to love you, just like Yahusha loved the assembly. Okay? And it says, not slanderers, not given to too much wine, teachers of what is good. And you can only be a teacher of what is good if you understand the words of Yah. And this is the important part. He says you need to do this in order for them to train young women to love their husbands. So you have to be acting the appropriate way to be an example for your daughter, so you can train them how to love their husbands. So you can train them how to follow the ways of the Most Messiah, the ways of the Most High Elohim. And you're only going to be able to do that, one, if you're in a stable household where there's mom and dad in the same household, where your children, your daughters especially, where they're seeing how dad respects mommy so well, and she's seeing the good example of how a man should treat a woman. So you have to give yourself to a man of understanding. That goes back to that. You have to give yourself to a man of understanding, a man of the Most High Yah, who listens to the word of Yah, who keeps the commandments, so that you can be an example for your children, so that your daughter can see how a man is supposed to treat a woman. So your son can see how a man is supposed to treat a woman. So your son can see how a good woman is supposed to treat her husband. It works both ways, and especially for the women, because remember, women were the first deceived. So as you can see in today's time, Satan and all these devils and demons, they attack the women first. That's why you have women wearing super tight dresses, wearing revealing clothing, bikinis, wearing tight shorts up their butt, wearing all this makeup. This is why you see this, because Satan knows he can get to the woman first. He knows that he can get to the women. And if he gets to the women, he can get to the man. Because the flesh, remember, the flesh is always warring against the Ruach. It's always warring against the Ruach. And it's hard for a man to not get excited or aroused when you have women half dressed, wearing skin tight dresses, wearing tights, wearing all this makeup, having their hair down and not wrapped up, and just everything is just so eye appealing and so pleasing to the flesh. So women have to be modest in their appearance, covered up. Women have to make sure they're setting themselves up with a man who wants a family, a man who's going to love you so you can love him so strong back, so you can be a great example for your daughter, for your son. It says, in order for them to train young women to love their husbands, to love their children, okay, to be sensible, blameless, workers at home. So women don't need to be working. Remember, the scripture said that I have not suffered a woman to usurp authority over a man, but to be in silence. So right here in the scriptures, it says, workers at home, good, subject to their own husbands, in order that the word of Yah is not spoken evil of. So women have to set the example, so Yah's word is being what's the word? So Yah's word is being respected. So his word is not evil, because just a short 60 years ago, women weren't working, women were in the house, and that's the way things are. So now that you see these scriptures and what a woman is supposed to be doing, you can see how we are definitely speedily getting further and further away from the Most High Yah, because we look at the past and see how women weren't working and how men ruled everything, and we look at that as being a bad thing. Women look at that as being a bad thing, but that is the ways of the Most High Yah. The progressive movement was really the start of the downfall for women, because a woman needs to be in the house cooking and cleaning, being the strong backbone. The man needs to be the man, be the one working, and all that stuff. So, and especially at the young age, especially in the young part of a child's life, because a child needs that mom to show them love and affection. So especially when their children are little, you need that. You need to be in the house. You need to be there showing support to your children, cooking and cleaning for them and all that stuff. So right here in the scriptures, it tells you that to be sensible, blameless, workers at home, good, subject to their own husbands. There is that verse again, subject to their own husbands, in order that the word of Yah is not evil spoken of. And we already know that once the progressive movement started happening, that was the downfall spiral. Women started getting jobs, and then that just took them away from the home life. And then there was a problem about equal rights between women and men and equal pay. These are things that should have never came about, because women are supposed to be at home, and that's just the way it is. And if you have a problem with that, you have to take it up with the Most High Yah. And of course, you don't want to do that, because if you can't keep the commandments of Yah, you're going to the pit. So it's not up for debate. So women have to get back into their roles, so women can be saved, so women can be happy, so man can be happy. And the problems back then with women being stuck in the house, because remember, they tend to give themselves to a man without understanding. Especially back in those days, it was about finding a man who has a secure job. It was about finding a man who has money. So once you let money be your motivation, that's why you had those relationship problems. And then it became like being trapped in jail for women of that time, because they couldn't make their own money, because they were giving themselves to an abusive husband. But if they had given themselves to a man of Yah, those things would have never happened. And also, I'm going to read here too what it says for young men like myself to do. Because if you don't know, I'm 21 years old. So this scripture, these next few scriptures pertain to young men. It says, likewise, urge the young men to be sensible. Show yourself an example of good works in all, in teaching, uncorruptedness, seriousness, soundness of speech, beyond reproach, in order that the opponent is put to shame, having no evil to say about you. So this is how us young men in my age group should be acting. And of course, we don't see that a lot with men of my generation. Men of my generation are all out there trying to get the baddest girl, trying to get women for their looks, trying to have sex with every little thing. So young men, we have to be sensible. We have to be serious, uncorruptedness. In teaching, we have to be out here teaching the word, trying to get people to turn back to Yah and stay in the faith. That's why I do these videos, because I want to make it into the kingdom, and I like teaching this stuff. I really do like teaching this stuff, and that's why I'm making this video for women, so our women and all women of all nations watching this video can get back on the straight path and to start keeping the commandments of Yah, so we can all have a fighting chance to get into the kingdom. Okay? So next I'm going to take us to 1 Corinthians again, and this time we're going to go to chapter 7. So right here in 1 Corinthians chapter 7, we're going to get more understanding about how women should hold themselves when dating a man, and how they should have a man treat them, because women also have to hold themselves up to the standard of Yah, so that women aren't deceived into having sex before marriage, because you have to remember, the body is not for fornication. It says our bodies are temples of the Most High Yah, and our body is not our own body because we were bought at a price, the price of the Messiah's blood. So we have to keep our temple cleansed, and fornication corrupts that temple. The scriptures let us know, actually in 1 Corinthians chapter 6, the scriptures let us know that all sin that all sin is outside the body, but fornication is a sin against your own self. It is a spiritual sin. So meaning if you kill someone, if you steal, lie, commit adultery, all of those things are outside of the body, but once you fornicate before marriage, well, it wouldn't be. Once you have sex before marriage, that is a spiritual corruption because you're destroying your temple. You're destroying your temple, which is of the Messiah, because we were all bought at a price, the price of the blood that the Messiah spilled for us, for the redemption of our sins, and especially if you're Israel, how he's coming back to redeem us. All right, so right here in verse 7, it says, "It is good for a man not to touch a woman because of whoring." Because, once men and women, they start touching, making out, kissing on each other, and filling each other up, both of you are getting aroused, and your flesh feels very tempted to want to have sex with that person. All right, and of course, it's not wrong if you're married, but when you're in that dating process, it should be kept as simple as no more than like a kiss on the lips, kiss on the cheek, or holding hands. It shouldn't be all this touching and filling up on each other, because that's going to tempt you to want to have sex then and there. So that's why it says it is good for a man not to touch a woman. So definitely in those early stages, you women, you have to hold yourselves accountable. You can't let man be filling up all on you. You can't let men be kissing up on you. So because you don't want fornication to, you don't want your flesh to start desiring sex, especially if you're not married. It says, because of whoring, let each one have his own wife, and let each woman have her own husband. Let the husband render his wife with what is her due. Wait, let me read that again. It says, let the husband render to his wife what is her due, and likewise also the wife to her husband. And listen to this. This is very important for married women watching this. It says, the wife does not have authority over her own body. The wife does not have authority over her own body, but the husband does. And likewise, the husband does not have authority over his own body, but the wife does. It says, do not deprive one another, except with agreement for a time, to give yourselves to fasting and prayer, and to give yourself to fasting and prayer, and come together again, so that Satan does not try you because of your lack of self-control. Now that is very important. So the wife, so Yah is saying, he's saying that the woman and the husband does not have authority of their own body. Once you become married, your body is one. So in other words, meaning that if you're a man and your husband wants sex, you have to give it up to her. If you're a man, oh sorry, I said that wrong. If you're a man and your wife wants sex, you have to give it up to her. If you're a wife and your husband wants sex, you have to give it up to her. It says the only time that you're not having sex is when you're fasting and praying. And then he says right after that, he says, come together again. Why? So that Satan does not try you. So that Satan does not try you in your self-control. Because remember, once you're married and you're having sex all the time, that switch is turned on. So now your body is craving it. Both of your bodies are craving it. And that's why you have men saying like, well, she wasn't giving it to me, so I went and found it somewhere else. That was Satan tempting that person, that husband, and he fell for it. So that's why we see that today. So it literally says right there, so Satan does not tempt you. It says, do not deprive one another except with agreement. So only if you both agreement, and he says for a time, he says not a long time, just for a short time, to give yourself to fasting and prayer, only when you're fasting and praying, are you not supposed to be having sex. And come together again so that Satan does not try you because of your lack of self-control. Listen to that. Because remember, once that sex switch is turned on, your body does crave it. And you're married. So you're supposed to be loving each other, enjoying each other's body, and enjoying each other's being. So you have to come together and have sex. And it says, and in verse 6, he says, and I say this as a concession, not as a command. So he's saying it is a suggestion that you should do this. He says, not a command. And he says, for I prefer that all men were even as myself, but each one has his own gift from Elohim. One in this way, and another in that. And I say to the unmarried and to the widows that it is good for them to remain as I am. But if they do not have self-control, let them marry, for it is better to marry than to burn. So right there, he's saying it's also not a bad thing to stay unmarried and to be like the Most High. But he's saying, but if you don't have that self-control, if you want to have sex and you want to get married and all that, he's saying marry so you don't burn in your lust, so you don't burn in the pits because you're committing fornication. Get married and find yourself a good man, a good wife. All right? All right, cool. So now we're going to go to the Apocrypha Bible, and we're going to go to Ecclesiasticus chapter 24, and we're going to start at verse 16. And this video is going to get wrapped up soon, and I'm actually going to do a second part of this video talking about the prophecies that are coming, and we're going to be talking about the prophecies that are being held and that are being fulfilled in today's time, because a lot of women are not keeping those commandments. I read to you what a wife and a woman is supposed to be doing. So clearly we see that women are not doing that today. We see that men are not doing that today. So there are prophecies that are being fulfilled right now, and there are also future prophecies coming that I will do in the next video. So there will be a part 2, and you want to stick around for that, especially if you're a woman, because these 2 videos is all about you guys. Because I want us to all, I want our women to go back to the ways of the Most High, and Yah wants that too. And he's using his Ruach HaKodesh and speaking through me. And glory be to Yah. You need to be saying hallelujah that this information is coming to you. Because now we all have more of a fighting chance to find that perfect partner and to get into the kingdom and to be living happy lives. So Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha, chapter 24, verse 16. It says, I had rather dwell with a lion and a dragon. Listen to that. I had rather dwell with a lion and a dragon than to keep house with a wicked woman. Listen to that. The wickedness of a woman changeth her face, and darkeneth her countenance like sackcloth. Her husband shall sit among his neighbors, and when he heareth it, shall sigh bitterly. All wickedness is but little to the wickedness of a woman. Let the portion of a sinner fall upon her. Listen to those words. He says, all wickedness is but little compared to the wickedness of a woman. Let the portion of a sinner fall upon her. And I believe the Most High is saying this stuff because he's looking into this present day. When this was first being written, they were looking into this present day and seeing the women's march, the feminist march. And you have this one called the slut walk, where they're talking about stop sexualizing the woman body parts. But the Most High is saying you have to cover up your shame, because remember when Adam and Eve realized they were naked, y'all put clothing on them and saying now your nakedness is shame to you. So you have women today trying to say stop sexualizing the naked body, stop sexualizing women parts. But that is part of the sin and that is part of the prophecy that would come upon us because of Adam and Eve sinning and what they did and realizing that they were naked and eating from the tree of good and evil. Okay? So he's saying all wickedness is but little compared to the wickedness of women. Let the portion of a sinner fall upon her. It says, stumble not at the beauty of a woman, and desire her not for her pleasure. So right there, the scriptures are telling man to stumble not at the beauty of a woman, and desire her not for her pleasure. Meaning, don't look at her big booty, her big tits, and say, man, I want to get with her because of that. So you're not supposed to stumble at the beauty. The scriptures tell you to even to turn away from a beautiful woman, because many have been deceived by beautiful women, because women definitely are using their looks to get by, and y'all really doesn't like that. Really don't like that. If you can find yourself a beautiful woman who's keeping the commandments of the Most High, more power to you. If you can find yourself a good-looking man keeping the commandments of the Most High, more power to you. But you have to think first with this head, and men not with this head. You have to think first with that. You have to think first with the head and the mind of Yah, what He will want you to do. And if the woman just so happens to be beautiful and she's keeping the commandments of Yah, more power to you. You can do that, but you need to first be thinking, I wonder if she's a woman of Yah. I wonder if he's a man of Yah. I wonder if he or she is following the commandments of Yah. And if the answer is a no, you gotta let him go. You gotta let him go. You gotta let him go. Because you already see the problems in today's time that come about when you set yourselves up with a man and a woman without understanding. So let's continue on. It says, a woman, if she maintaineth her husband, is full of anger, impudence, and much reproach. A wicked woman abideth the courage, maketh a heavy countenance, and a wounded heart. A woman that will not comfort her husband in distress maketh weak hands and feeble knees. So the Most High is saying that if you see that your husband is down about something, and you're that type of wife, you're that type of girlfriend, you're that type of woman who's going to kick your man down when he's already low, shame to you, shame to you. He's saying you're only making that person weaker and giving them feeble needs. A woman has to be the strong backbone. When you see your husband is down, when you see your boyfriend is down, you need to be there and be his support and saying, what can I do to make you feel better, honey? What can I do to help you out? What can I do to make you more comfortable? What can I do to ease your pain? That is a good woman right there. Not a woman who will say, oh, you ain't worth nothing. You ain't good for nothing anyway. You're a deadbeat dad. You ain't nothing good and all that. You don't need that type of woman in your life. And it says, of the women came the beginning of sin. Because remember, Eve was deceived. So it says, of the woman came the beginning of sin, and through her we all die. Because many men are being deceived by the beauty of women, instead of asking them, finding out if they keeping the commandments of Yah. And many women are dressing half-assed and getting men through their looks, getting men for money, getting men because of their fame, getting men of their popularity, something that is not of Yah. And dressing in all these tight clothes and putting on pounds of makeup so men look at you with those eyes and you try to get them through your looks instead of your good works. So that's why it says the beginning of sin came through women, and through her we will all die. It says, give the water no passage, neither a wicked woman liberty to gad abroad. If she go not as thou wouldest have her, listen to this. If she goeth not as thou wouldest have her, cut her off from thy flesh, and give her a bill of divorcement. So the Most High is saying, if you're a married man and your wife is not trying to keep your commandments, and if your wife is not keeping the commandments of the Most High, if your wife is not following what you want to do, give her a bill of divorcement. Cut her off. And in chapter 26, it says, blessed is a man that has a virtuous wife, for the number of his days shall be double. A virtuous wife, meaning a woman keeping the commandments. He says, blessed is a man who has a virtuous wife, because your days shall be doubled. It says, a good wife is a good portion, which shall be given in portion of them that fear Elohim. So men watching this, if you want a good wife, you have to fear Elohim. You have to be keeping the commandments of Elohim. That's how you're going to get yourself a good wife. It says, whether a man, it says, oh, my bad. It says in verse 6, it says, but a grief of heart and sorrow is a woman that is jealous over another woman, and a scourge of the tongue which communicateth with all. So he's saying a grief of the heart and sorrow is a woman that is jealous over another woman. Women, you're not supposed to be jealous over another woman. You're not supposed to look at the woman, another woman, and say, well, I want to look like her. I want to be like her. Or I'm jealous of what she has. You're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to be happy with what you got. You're supposed to be happy that you follow in the commandments of Yah. You're supposed to be happy that you have yourself a loyal, Yah fulfilling man beside you underneath your wings to be your protector and all that. And you got to be the backbone for him. It says a evil wife is a yoke shaken to and fro, and he that holdeth of her is as though he held a scorpion. You do not want to be this woman Yah is describing. It says a drunken woman and a gatherer abroad causeth great anger. So if you're a woman that likes to get drunk and get lit and all that stuff, he's saying a drunken woman and a gatherer abroad causeth great anger, and she will not cover her own shame. Talking about how when you get drunk, you want to get loose and you want to start taking off your clothing. That's what the Most High is talking about. How you want to get naked. He said you will not cover your own shame when you're drunk. And it's true because you're not in your correct state of mind. It says the whoredom of a woman may be known in her haughty looks and eyelids. So the whoredom of a woman will be known through her looks and her eyelids if she's wearing all that makeup on. So right here in the scriptures, chapter 26 of Ecclesiasticus and the Apocrypha. This is why I like this. This is why they take out these extra books of the Bible. These were books that were once in the Bible. And this is why they took them out, because it's just chock filled with information. And look how much information is given to us about how women should be acting and how the standards women should be holding themselves up to. And it says the whoredom of a woman may be known in her haughty looks and eyelids. If thy daughter be shameless, keep her in straitly, lest she abuse herself through overmuch liberty. And in verse 14 it says, a silent and loving woman is a gift of Yah. Listen to that. A silent and loving woman is a gift of Yah. And there is nothing so much more worth as a mind well instructed. So that means if you're a married man and you got yourself a silent woman who's listening to what you're saying, who does what you want, who's always there for you and not kicking you when you're down, that is a blessing from Yah. And how are you going to get that good woman? Man, how are you going to get that woman? You're going to get that woman by keeping the commandments of the Most High. How is a woman going to get this man that she can be silent to and she can be loving to? By keeping the commandments of the Most High Yah. And it says right here, and a shamefaced and faithful woman is a double grace. Meaning a woman who's keeping herself clothed, who's not trying to wear skin tight clothing. It says a shamefaced and a faithful woman is a double grace, and her content mind cannot be valued. Meaning a woman who's happy with what she's got, her content mind. It said it cannot. The Most High said that cannot be valued. Now, don't you want to please the Most High Yah? Don't you want to please the Most High Yah? So why would you not want to start keeping these commandments? And let's continue on. It says, and we're going to skip to verse 22. It says, a harlot shall be accounted as spittle. Listen to that. A harlot shall be accounted as spittle. Meaning if you're a woman who loves to sleep around with with all these different men, or if you're a woman wanting to have sex with different women, different men, if you're doing that dabbling stuff, he's saying you are counted as spittle. He's saying you're the spit that comes out of my mouth. That's what a woman who's whoring around is to the Most High, like spittle. But a married woman is a tower against death to her husband. Listen to that. A married woman is a tower against death to her husband. That's what the women. That's what you need to be. You need to be that strong tower for your man, for your husband. It says a wicked woman is given as a portion to a wicked man, but a woman of Elohim, is given to him that feareth Yah. So you need to be thinking, if you're married and you have a bad husband, and if you need to be looking at your life, saying, "Dang, am I considered a wicked woman before the eyes of the Most High? Is that why I have a bad husband that treats me like crap, slaps me around, that doesn't want to provide for my children? Am I not keeping the commandments of the Most High? Am I doing something that is not pleasing Him, that I can't find a good man?" That's what you need to be thinking when you hear these scriptures. Because it says a wicked woman is given as a portion to a wicked man, meaning the Most High is going to set you up with a man that's like you, a wicked woman with a wicked man. So when you looking at this, you need to be thinking about your own life. Am I this wicked woman that the Most High is talking about? Am I dressing in tight clothing? Do I have a face full of makeup on? Am I trying to get men with my looks? Am I trying to get men for money, their looks, their fame, for what they have, instead of them being a man of the Most High? That's what you need to be looking at that's how you need to be looking at your life right now. It says a dishonest woman contempteth shame, but a honest woman will reverence her husband. And listen to this next one in verse 25. A shameless woman will be counted as a dog. A shameless woman will be counted as a dog. A shameless woman will be counted as a dog. But she that is shamefaced will fear Yah. So meaning, if you're a woman that's half dressing, walking around in tight clothing and bikinis, knowing you have bikinis showing off your big butt, your big boobs, showing off all that stuff, the Most High considers you to be a dirty, low-down dog. Are you going to be that woman, or are you going to start covering yourself and start having more respect for yourself, so that men can have no other option but to respect you? Because they see you're not a whore, they're going to have no choice but to respect you. And that's when you have to start sifting. That's when you have to sifting out the nonsense, sifting out the rocks from the gold. And that's when you have to start finding yourself a good man, find a quality man. It says, a shameless woman shall be counted as a dog, but she that is shamefaced will fear Yah. A woman that honoreth her husband shall be judged wise of all. A woman that honoreth her husband shall be judged wise of all. A woman that honoreth her husband shall be judged wise of all. Listen to those words. But she that dishonoreth him in her pride shall be counted ungodly of all. Listen to that. It says, but she that dishonoreth him in her pride shall be counted ungodly of all. Meaning you're kicking your husband when he's down, saying, "Well, I wear the pants in here, my husband doesn't wear the pants," and all that, and you filled up with pride. You filled up in the feminist march and the women's march. You can't. He's saying you are be counted as ungodly of all. It says, a loud crying woman and a scold shall be sought out to drive away the enemies. All right. So right there in this video, it's the end of this video. So in this video, we've learned very much what the Most High considers to be a good woman, a good wife, a good husband, a good young man. We covered it all in this video. And now in the next video, we're going to be understanding what prophecies are being fulfilled today, because a lot of our men and women are not doing that. And we're going to see what will be the future prophecy that's going to be coming for women once Yah comes to bring his judgment. And I pray with all my heart that women, especially watching this video, really hold on to this word. And I pray that you will share this to other women who are falling short on these things, and that you start keeping these commandments as women of Zion, Israel women, women of all nations. Start finding yourself a good quality man who is a man of Yah. And men watching this video, find yourself a woman who is a woman of Yah, who wants to love you unconditionally, who wants to show you that. Please, please do this. Please, please. I pray that Yah really does watch over this message and gets this to the right women, to the right men that need to see this. Because we are living in very deceptive times. We have this women's march, the slut walk, the feminist movement, all these things just bringing women down further into the pit, bringing men down further and further into the pit. Please, please, please watch this video and take it to heart and study these scriptures, because there is a specific order and a specific position that women need to fulfill and that they need to stay in, and that's the way Yah has ordained it. So please start being a better woman, start being a better man, start keeping these commandments. And thank you for watching this, and shalom. Please start keeping these commandments. That's all I can say.